Hello, everyone. Welcome to the podcast. I'm joined today by Nuke, and we're going to talk about one of our favorite action games of all time, No More Heroes. And this was definitely your favorite game, right?
Yeah, it was. Actually, I spent a lot of time. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about No More Hero, a game that came out December 6th on the Wii. A game that was quite unique, let's say.
Was it a? Oh, it was very unique. Was it 2006, 2007?
2007. It's
Oh
December
man,
6th, 2007. Sorry, I got
that's
confused.
that's more than a decade old.
It
I'm
is. It
I'm always
is.
like I'm always like, oh, this game was so good. It came out like 5 years ago max, right? It's like, nope.
Ugh. Honestly, when it came out, it was a shocking game for a
Mm,
family console like the Wii.
it
You
was, yeah.
just went from like I don't know, playing Wii bowling on Wii Sports, and then you're pretty much an assassin, killing people and making like liters and liters of blood over and over. So
Mm,
yeah. So let's talk about No More Heroes. I feel that there's a lot to go over when it comes to that game. Like when we look at it, you got your main character Travis Touchdown, which is
mm.
like, let's say that the creator actually of the game, Suda51, was like,
Mm.
how could I say that, an American weeaboo? Like, yeah,
He definitely is. He's very
yeah,
American centered.
yeah, exactly. Like, it's a bit like us northern Westerners who are like fanatic, pretty much like just fanatic about the stuff made in Japan. I think he was the same when it came like to inspiration to making No More Heroes. So just to put you in context, the name on your character is Travis Touchdown. You're how could I say that? A nearly 30-year-old otaku assassin who lives in Santa Destroy, a fictive city in America.
Hmm.
And basically, what happened is you bought a beam katana used off the internet,
Yeah.
because I'm guessing as a weeaboo or as an otaku in this case, you buy fun stuff. A bit when you go to convention and you buy like those prop stores that are freaking useless. I think probably
Mm.
in his mindset he bought it just because.
It looked cool.
Indeed, would you buy a laser katana if you could
I
off the
mean, I
internet?
think there's some guys in Ontario and like Hamilton or something that like made a prototype lightsaber or something. So
Yeah,
uh
Hacksmith actually did it
yeah.
in Kitchener, Ontario. Like
Kitchener,
they use like
yeah.
exactly they use a giant flame to make it. It looks awesome.
Yeah, I would not buy that. It does not look very safe.
Just for
It
shits
looks
and giggles,
cool.
and yeah.
Yeah.
So let's go back to what No More Heroes is, because so far we don't have a whole lot of information. So okay,
Mm.
when it comes to No More Heroes, the story is about Travis Touchdown, your assassin, otaku assassin from America, from Senta Destroy, who goes to a bar to drink himself half blind because he lost everything. And he meet a chick called Sylvia Crystal. Well, what do you mean? My boy Travis doesn't lose a whole lot of time. He's like, he's down to, get back on his feet, have a bit of fun with a little lass, aka a lady. And he asks her, hey, you wanna, have fun? Well, Sylvia has other plans for him. So basically, she's a recruiter for an association, which is a association of assassin of killer actually. And she says, well, if you want to sleep with me, I want you to be the top rank assassin in Santa Destroy. Which my man Travis gleefully agrees, which is kind of weird, but he's ready for that. And that's where we start. So you
Yeah.
start the game and you're heading towards a huge mansion. And, you know, guns blazing, whatever, he just jumps in, kills two guards, and boom, that's where you start.
It's definitely like an action hero setup in a way where it's like, what if? But it's almost realistic in that sense. Like, what if some guy off the street is like, yeah, okay, I'll go and kill a bunch of like mafia guys, whatever, for you, And like, if someone actually did that, it would look like this: some like random guy, some otaku living in America, being like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." And so it's pretty ridiculous in that context.
Yeah, and you take someone with like the worst motive ever to go do like to try that. It's not even like John Wick, who's like seeking revenge.
Yeah.
He has nothing to lose. He lost everything, and that's unclear what he lost. But you're gonna learn later on in the game. By the way, spoiler free, or we go like all in?
Oh, you can go spoilers, as many spoilers as you want. You don't have to recap the whole thing. You can just like give me.
Actually, like it's just. You know, the thing that he lost when he lost everything is the day when his parents got assassinated by someone. And he, when he says he just lost everything, he lost everything that meant something to him. Which is not totally true, because if you played the second one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember his friend who works at the video store?
No, Bishop, yeah.
Yeah, who got assassinated in the second one. And, like, I think at this moment, Travis lost everything, and that's why you just don't see him between like the third iteration of the game and the second one. He's gone. Like he just decided to take his shit and get the fuck out of that city.
Yeah.
To never come back. But what's your main experience about the game so far? When did you play it actually?
I played it when I was like 16 or whatever. I rented it out of the Rogers video store down the street, so as a rental. And it's funny, when I first played No More Heroes, I really did not like it. Like the whole over the top gore and everything. I was like, this is like way too much. And it's like, so when I first played it, I really didn't like it. And like I played it, I think a year later or something. And I was like, oh, I get it. It's almost like a parody of itself in a way. Like it's so over the top as like a style. Like that's what he's going for. And I really enjoyed it because like, yeah, like you have the friggin', you know, the slot machines rolling, you know, along with the blood spilling out, you have like all these coins. Like it's inherently just ridiculous how ultra violent it is. And it is that very funny kind of like I don't know how to say American style. Like I don't know. So the Japanese are not very big on gore a lot, and I feel like that's more of an American thing. And I feel like Suda really does mesh those two styles together, and it's a very surreal experience. And it became one of my favorite series of that generation. Definitely one of my favorite games on the Wii, along with the sequel.
Yeah, so true about like the gore, the coins, everything, just everything flashing in your face. I feel like it's a good representation of like overwhelming American sentiment of like addicting fun, where it's violent, gore, coins,
yeah. Let's just mix everything
like,
together.
Like Real Kill Vegas edition. And you know, you like the game. Honestly, like talking about video store, goddamn, I miss them. I used to have so much fun, but even if they would come back, I don't think I would use them. Really.
Yeah, no.
But
well, I think Game Pass replaced them, in my opinion. But that's a different topic.
Yeah, maybe later we could smooch on that topic. Yeah. But yeah, me as well was I didn't rent it. It was my brother who rented. I was so young. I think I was around 8 or 9 years old when it came out, and basically, like, I remember my mom didn't want me to watch it.
I thought I was too young, being 16, because technically I was under the M rating. It's technically 17. It's like, oh, this is so bad, but you were like 8.
Oh yeah, honestly, like I remember, it was like my brother rented it. My mom saw it and was like, I don't want your little brother to look at that. It's freaking violent. And I was like, okay, fair. But I remember my brother playing. I was just sneaking up behind him just to look at the game. Like I was like, oh shit, I really want to try that game. I really, really want to try it. So at a certain moment, my mom went to a hairdresser appointment. My brother had a karate class, so I just went like, okay, I'm playing the game. So I just go and I played like from minute 1 when the door just shuts till the last minute when I heard the door open. I went like, okay, we closed the console, and I'm like, I was hooked. I was
Yeah.
sleeping and dreaming about playing of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if it ever happened to you, like just when you saw like some commercial of a game and you're like literally like, I'm so hyped to try that game.
Like you can't stop thinking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something with this generation of games would happen a lot. I would just like you. I think there's a term for it actually. I think Cliffy B of Epic came up with the term resonance. Is that when you're not playing the game, you're still thinking about it, and that's the sign of a really good game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like I don't know. Ever had any games that resonate with you?
Oh, tons. I mean, not so much anymore, but definitely when I played this game, I did think about it when I went to school or whatever a lot. It was just like, it's funny. I'm looking at this opening section, and I remembered like, what's all this? What's the point of all this violence? And the point of all this violence is really just, Travis, wants to get laid, slash. He enjoys it. Like it's violence for the sake of violence, and it's that sort of ridiculousness and just the drive of the characters. I think honestly what really drives No More Heroes is honestly the music and the characters. If each character wasn't as crazy as the last one, because you have to kill all 10 of them, it's the motivation for the players, like, oh, I can't wait to see who the next one is going to be. And it's that characters, I think, that really drive the story really, really well. And once I got that, I'm like, okay, I'm hooked. Yeah. And the gameplay is good.
I get you. And you were talking about like Japanese, like violence in Japanese media.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched the Japanese version of No More Heroes or never?
The Japanese version?
Yeah, I know it's a weird like tangent, but the Japanese version of No More Heroes, there's no blood.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like when you kill them, it's like they're still leaving their body. You just see some black, like spectral black ooze coming out of people instead.
Huh.
And you're so right about the music, but have you ever noticed it's the same soundtrack, but they just changed the instrument and the tone of the music on every boss stages. It's all the same. But the main one, you always hear it because you play the game, and every time you go into battle, you just hear the normal one.
Right, yeah.
It's just a random fact that I noticed when I was playing, and I went online just to check it, and yeah, it's the same song over and over, and they just change a bit the intonation and the instrument that they're using.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, when you go into the different areas, I mean, the boss fights usually have different, like, custom music. But you're versus a boss, you're gonna hear different music. But when you're just walking towards a boss, like when you're gonna go walk towards facing the first boss, like Death Metal or Dr. Peace or even Shinobu afterward, it's all the same song leading to them until you face them. Yeah, no, I think the industry term is vertical mixing, where you have one kind of theme or motif, and then you layer on percussion or vocals or synth or whatever, and depending on the area or the type of conflict you're doing, it'll be like low key, then high key, then hyper, etc.
Yep, exactly.
It's funny though you point that out, sorry, because I didn't actually notice that till this point, that it actually is all the same song and it does not get boring, which is crazy.
It is. Like, honestly, like, you were mentioning, like, how, like, addictive it became when you were doing it. And so addicted that you don't even realize the most mundane details, that the song is the same thing over and over, and you kept listening. You kept listening to it, like, for a 5-hour to 6-hour experience game. But you were mentioning about the characters, the bosses, everything.
Oh,
honestly, like, what struck you the most about them?
I mean, honestly, the first thing that came to mind was that this is like a Tarantino movie, in the sense that, like, every time you meet like a character, like there's gonna be no time wasted. Like every scene in a Tarantino movie, kind of feels like a short story. So when you meet these characters, they're just written. I don't want to say well. I mean, I guess they're written well, but they're just so interesting. They're just written so differently that they're just captivating, because they have their own motivation or whatever. Like the first boss is all about, paradise and, all about, pleasure and hedonism. And so, and Travis is like, well, I'm about the same, so what makes me better than you, kind of thing. But each like boss in this game is actually extremely memorable in the way that every character in a Tarantino movie would be. Even if they have like 2 minutes of screen time, you're like, oh yeah, that guy. Like the friggin' in Kill Bill, you have like the black lady who shows up to her house. You have like it's like there's something almost, I want to say, archetypical or something. It's like every single like fight is just like it's just ingrained in my mind for some reason.
Oh, I get you. Honestly, what shook me the most, and that was, I think, when I played later on in life at that game, is how Travis evolves throughout the game. Like, he's in the beginning, he's so happy-go-lucky, going like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna be the best." And there's Death Metal, the boss that we're actually seeing on the screen right now, who's like, killing is a rabbit hole that you don't come back from.
Mm-hmm.
And he even says if you want to turn back, it's not too late. You should honestly do it.
Mm-hmm.
But Travis, just being a young, gullible teen adult, I guess.
Yeah.
He's like, nope, I'll go. And later on, like, you remember there's a girl, the second girl boss that he faces, called Holy Summer, the military Russian.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, when he kills her, his demeanor goes from happy-go-lucky to depression.
Yeah, because
Go ahead. He goes from just happy to depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes like to so many stages of grief so quickly between like this boss and the magician, who's like it's just confused. He's shocked. He doesn't know what to do. And then you get after that Speedbuster, which is the fat lady that kills his sensei. And then it's just a way to show you how ugly death is. Mm-hmm. I know it's not a good way to show ugly by showing a fat, overweight American lady. But yeah, I think Suda went in that direction. And after that, when you go to the, final boss, you go to Bad Girl and Jane and Annery. Like, he's just like, I just give up. I just want to be done with that. And then you arrive to the final boss, and you learn that it's just a ploy that Silver Crystal, the girl he tried to hooked up with, just created. Like, the plot twist was just, for 2007, I felt like it was pretty decent, and shook me pretty hard when I heard that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting, like, it's so much as other Japanese developers, I think, like Yoko Taro or something, where they're like, isn't it weird how we're obsessed with killing in video games? And I think even Kojima, back in the day, around this era, the whole premise of Metal Gear Solid 4 is like, these Call of Duty action games are literally going to train kids to become killers or something because they're too realistic. Which is, I think we can laugh about that kind of thing now. But I think the point of this kind of game was like, the kind of, the taking the whole senselessness of violence in media and turning into something almost like a parody of itself. Well, what if there was someone who was so super desensitized to all types of violence that, yeah, exactly, like a girl says, well, if you want to sleep with me, just go kill someone. What if someone like that actually existed? And I think that's what Suda is exploring with Travis. I'm not sure if you know, actually, but do you know who Travis is actually based off? Real life person?
Based off the main, how could I say it? The host of Jackass.
Yeah. I actually forget his name as well.
Yeah,
but
hello, I'm ...
It's Johnny. Yeah, Johnny something.
Knoxville.
Johnny Knoxville, that's it. Yeah,
exactly.
And I heard, and my brother told me. Sometimes my brother tells me a lot of BS stuff. So I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then I saw the video of the guy because I guess I've never really seen Jackass, and I saw it and I was like, oh my god, that is Travis. It was crazy.
It's insane, how much American how many American like things that he tried to incorporate as his own way of creating like his idea of America. Where it's
Yeah.
just like express yourself as much as you want to be, and it's so anti-Japanese the way he created his character. Like his character is loud, unique,
Rude. He's the
rude.
Japanese
Right.
idea of
Exactly.
like jackass. So I think there's a couple things, you know, and so you know someone like Johnny Knoxville as being the inspiration for this character is just you know, he's crass, he's crude, he's ridiculous, and like despite all that, he's just a fascinating character. Like what if, you know, this kind of, you know, violent, you know, pathology was taken to an extreme, to a ridiculous level. And I remember when I've this first came out, or this they showed this demo or whatever, or this first boss, it was pretty shocking for the time, because there were games like Gears of War coming out, and I think that was all part of the commentary about, you know, super gory games. It's like, oh look, games can now actually depict, you know, violence, you know, realistically, and whatever. And it's that feeling of desensitization, the kind of plastic kind of sort of separation between the player and the entertainment. And yeah, I don't know, I feel like I'm just repeating the same
No,
theme.
actually,
Yeah.
you're right. And I
Yeah.
had like a discussion with one of my friends about that. Is, you know, everyone critiquing like modern video games. I want to mean they come from the 80s. And during the 80s, you got hyper-violent movie. You got Rambo, Terminator, Demolition Man, and those, or even like, Total Recall. God darn, those were so violent compared to like modern media. So this much sex, violent, and over gore in a movie now, it would get shut down. But back then, you take Rambo, god darn, there's some people getting impaled on trees. Or you take Total Recall, and there's some people melting on Mars, literally, and it's all graphic and everything. And they're like, no, it's all right. It's gonna make some strong children later on, and we're not gonna have any problem. And then you look at our video games, where you see like badly animated people getting killed. Oh my god, our generation is training themselves to be like whatever.
Yeah.
And I just felt like
I feel like Suda took that idea of a totally desensitized malicious person and just kind of, well, what if that, yeah, exactly, what if this person actually existed? What if this hypothetical gamer otaku who's been playing video games, and you know, the whole controversy, like, well, there'll be psychopathic killers who won't care about, you know, human life or decency when they grow up. He's like, okay, well, what if that was a real person? It's and in that
it's
in that sense, it's almost like a deconstruction. It's almost like I mean, it's highly experimental in that sense, to take that archetype and create a character based on that, I guess, sort of current contemporary social idea.
I feel like if you go to Travis Touchdown in general, he's such like a contradict. Like he's such like the antithesis of what an otaku was in 2007-6.
Yeah.
Like it's not I have the power of God and an anime on my side. It's literally the guy has literally like it's the antithesis of anime fan, where they used to be like outcasts, just shy people,
Yeah.
and then you slap it on someone who has like a buttload of charisma.
Yeah.
He's still lonely, but he's there. He's like he seems like a nice guy. Like if he's not killing everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I feel like there's another game that opened the door towards No More Hero. Ever heard about the game Mad World?
Yes,
The
I have
black and
Mad
white,
World. Yeah.
And I remember back then when that game came out. When did it came out? Actually, I'm gonna look at it while I'm at it. uh, uh,
It's funny, in Mad World and this game, what they both have in common is not only they're hyper violent, but they're also extremely stylized.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's like the impression of violence itself, because you can argue, well, you know, those aren't real people. They're just pixels. And you could probably make that argument maybe like in the 90s, if you had an ultra violent game. But here it's like, It's like it's almost sort of real, and I still love the graphical style of No More Heroes 1, even compared to its sequels, because there's something about the heavy shadows and whatever that just makes it feel really surreal and otherworldly. And and because it's supposed to be like a normal whatever American town, but it's done in that style that makes it feel really, I don't know, surreal. It's I don't know, it's cool.
No, but you're right. Visually, the game is from 2006, and
Yeah.
it's on a underpowered console. The Wii was so
Yeah.
outdated when it
Oh
came
yeah.
out. It was basically just a GameCube with like who
Yeah.
could take disc, and which is nice, honestly. If they had released the Wii when the GameCube came out, I'm sure it would have freaking destroyed the competition of the PS2 and everything. But you know, Nintendo being Nintendo wanted some proprietary disc just to prevent hacking, which they kind of soon realized how useless it was, like preventing hacking. It just
Yeah.
you had just a they worried so much about a small group of individual that didn't ruin too much of their business. If they would have went like, same thing as Sony, just shoving a PS DVD player in their stupid console, which they could back then, they would have made so much money. But anyway, back to
I love this opening animation. I watched this so many times, and I think this is where they played Steel Python, which is probably my favorite track in probably the whole series, actually.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. But there's just something weird about like how it aged. I feel like No More Heroes is a game of his time. Like you couldn't pull No More Heroes now, and people were expecting people to enjoy it. Like
Maybe.
I feel like we had a generation of gamers who were a bit more open when you went back there, and it's coming back. It's fun. It's there's a silver lining to all of that. Is mainstream company are realizing that gamers are not all about just FPS and mainstream games. Like Baldur's Gate came out of the gate, out of nowhere. And I guess people like Dungeons and Dragons which is nice. Which probably I really hope it inspires other companies to follow the lead of just trying something and to see where it brings you. But yeah, No More Heroes back in 2007 had nothing to be a game of the year. But I feel like it was a little last breath of a dying generation of gamer before the Call of Duty and everything.
Yeah, before it became sort of normalized, and this was still a very like underground game. If you say you play video games, in 2006-7, like you're like, oh, you play something like No More Heroes, but now if you say play games, you probably mean Valorant or something like that.
You play League of Legends or Fortnite. Or
I,
whatever.
no, I think that is like a valid point. That I think I'm not sure if Suda has said this, but I think along the lines that he made No More Heroes for the gamers, something like that, and I can absolutely 100% see that.
Honestly, when you look at Suda's game, I feel like in the line of the hack and slash genre that Suda made, there's Killer's Dead as well, who's visually shocking to look at. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, honestly, all the Suda games that I've tried so far, like they kept like a resonant, like they had like a resonance in my head, and I was always thinking about them. And I feel like we're talking about a lost era gamer. Remember, like if you went to 2004 or 5, I don't remember the release date, but god darn, people were playing like Need for Speed Underground and things like that.
Yeah.
And it used to be like normal, or you go to your friend and they're where your parents are not there, then you pull out Dead or Alive, and the reason why you play it is because she gets high.
Yeah.
You have like a variety of game. I remember at a certain point I was going to my friends. We're from different generation, you're more from 2000. Like you had luckily enjoyed more the early 2000 gaming, I'm guessing, compared to me, which just like discovered it mid 2000. And I don't know. I remember when we came from a like poorer neighborhood, so we didn't have the latest console. So I remember like just living 5 years backward, where me and my friends would go we'd take our bikes, we'd go to the local video game store, go rent a couple games, buy a cheap 2 liter Mountain Dew, and going to the local Domino and getting not Domino, but like the local pizzeria and getting a cheap pizza. And that would be our night. We would go rent a movie, get some games, and just spend time on my friend's PS2 or GameCube.
Classic gamer night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the PS3 came out, I remember I was the first of my friend who had it.
Really?
And it was a year after it came out. And I remember we're all at we went to my house, and we all sat and we were like, oh my god, what games can we play together? And it was like, none actually.
Oh, man.
So we ended up playing SingStar. Imagine.
Oh, man.
That was the only game we had that could play like multiplayer on the PS3 back then was SingStar.
Yeah,
my dad bought it with my sister.
That generation, PS3 was not a friend to multiplayer games.
No, not at all. But just put that in your head. A bunch of French Canadians trying to barely spoke English, tried to sing to Eminem lyric.
Oh, that's
honestly
funny.
I would have paid a lot of money to have like those recording back to to hear those recording again.
I can barely
or trying to sing some Weezer. God darn. But yeah, let's talk about that dying era of couch play gaming.
Oh, wow.
I feel like GameCube is a nice console for that.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, multiplayer peaked, I think, with Xbox 360, GameCube, even PS2 had some good multiplayer stuff. You could see the beginning of like really cohesive, if that's the right word, cohesive multiplayer settings and environments with things like Halo Combat Evolved, even as far back as like Smash Brothers on the 64 and GoldenEye. GoldenEye was a huge thing with Mario Party and all that stuff. Because multiplayer was actually kind of new-ish. I mean, it had been around, but like in very, like limited quantities, I feel. Let me think there's Super Mario World where you could take turns. It says it's co-op, but not really.
TV,
yeah.
Like, I felt like, you can't realize that it's like always a pendulum of like 2-player till couch play till you just stay alone. Like if you take the Super Nintendo or the NES, it was mostly games that you could have one player tag along, and usually it wasn't a huge multiplayer experience. I think when you look at it, Zombie Ate My Neighbor, that was like pretty fun when you played together on the Super Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
But I felt like Nintendo had that in mind when they started releasing they didn't release some titles, but when you take like Bomberman, where they created an adaptator to have 4 controllers and things like that.
Yeah.
And then you go, I think it's 2 or 3 or whatever. Later you have the N64. That was literally a console designed to have multiplayer in mind. 4 tabs on it, and Nintendo just went with it. And they were like, that's probably the future, just spending some money in couch play games. And they did that till the Wii U. Yeah. But in the Wii U, they didn't have a whole lot of games because the console was just a flop.
Yeah. I think it's funny because that sort of 4-person multiplayer experience really started with the N64, and I think with the Wii U, it's kind of like it stopped becoming a focus around, I guess, the Gen 8 or whatever it was.
What was your favorite actually N64 title when it comes to couch play or
for multiplayer? Yeah. That's let's see. I mean, I would cheat and say Jet Force Gemini because that's technically co-op. But for like a 4-player setting, I guess Star Fox 64. I guess it wasn't very fun, but no, of course, Smash Brothers, the original Smash Brothers. Yeah, I played a ton of that with my brothers.
Yeah, Smash Brothers was so fun. I broke my first controller while playing Smash Brothers on
Same,
64.
same. Well,
I,
my brother did. It was not me. It was my brother's fault.
I didn't smash it down. I just like broke the joystick, like those flimsy N64 joystick. God damn, it
Yeah.
just ripped off my hand. I was like, what the fuck? And I remember I was like so scared because back then we were kids and we're like, where are we gonna buy those magical
Yeah.
things that our parent bought
Yeah.
us for Christmas?
Exactly. No, my
But
brother
yeah.
broke it Christmas Day. I think it was the second time we were fighting or playing whatever, and I was like, I think we were in Brinstar. I even remember the map, and I was Samus or something, or he was Samus, and I was Link, and he lost, and he took his controller and like as hard as he possibly could, threw it on the ground and yelled at me, and it broke.
Oh my
it
god.
was absolutely like archetypical. It was really funny.
I mean, I was not allowed to do that because
Yeah.
we didn't have a whole lot of money. So if you break
Yeah.
that controller, it's gonna be a single player experience for a while, my dude.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, when I go back to, I wasn't poor as hell. I was just like my parents were like had other priorities in mind instead of video games. So, we're doing like those classical kids job to rack up some money. Me and my brother and would put ourselves each other every like end of the month and be like, okay, we're buying a brand new game. And back then we got like some shit ass games because our local video game store they had like some good employees and some bad employees that never played any game. And they were like, oh, get that game, it's really good. And it would be like
Uh,
get Enchanted Arms or whatever, just games that are not good. I remember we couldn't bring them back, and we were like,
uh,
and we were stuck playing those stupid ass game that sucked ass. So when the our local video store started renting games, it changed the game a bit. Like we
yeah.
could try the games, or even the advent of the internet for us, advent of YouTube and things like that, and
Mm.
gaming lives and sessions where you could look at games. That kind of changed the perspective of how we played game, and I feel it kind of ruined a bit the experience of getting the surprise of finding a fun game. Like I
Mm.
remember getting Auto Modelista because it was Capcom who made it. I remember Capcom made Resident Evil, and Resident Evil was good. So racing game made by Capcom must be quite unique. And then you get a cel shaded racing game that was stunning to look at for GameCube. And I remember just being so shook when I had it, and one of my friends stole it actually, so I was like so sad about it afterwards.
Uh,
Those kind of friends just stoles your shit and never gives it back.
yeah.
But yeah, and the thing about it that kind of, it's kind of something that we're losing is just getting. Can you buy a game now in 2023 without knowing what you're buying, or you won't? You will look at the reviews, or look at some videos, or some gameplay.
If you can trust the
First,
reviews.
hmm
If you can trust the reviews, yeah.
Yeah, like I don't know if it happened to you. Like just you went to the video game store and you just saw a couple like shiny boxes, and you were like, "I want this one. It looks fun," and it ended up being like the worst game ever.
Yeah, no, I mean, Christ in heaven, have mercy on me. I bought my friend Sonic Frontiers for last Christmas. So yeah, I still make really bad decisions. This is not a good game. But I do know the feeling of like, I honestly I love renting games because I was always like, let me just try it to see what it's like. And because a lot of the time there would be a lot of bad games that would just be based all on marketing, and then you like get it, and it's either maybe sometimes it's a good game, but it's just not meant for you. Like it's just not your thing. And then I've had games that like, oh, I don't know if I'd like this or not, but you try it anyway, and it's really good. So
Yeah, and I feel like people were a bit more objective about their review compared to now. Like now, so
yeah.
when someone says a critique, everyone's gonna follow him in their critique, and yeah, it's all right. But I felt like back then there was some games that were just plainly bad, and I freaking loved. Like I was remember, like I had a game I think it was called Bulletstorm,
Oh
And
yeah.
it was just a cash grab on the ultra gore like slash third
Yeah.
person genre. And
Mhm.
honestly, I freaking loved that game. And I didn't watch any review of it back then.
Mhm.
And I said to my friend, play that game, it's so fun, you're gonna love it. They tried it, they loved it. Then many months later, my friend is like, oh, he tried to show his cousin the game Bulletstorm, and then they looked online and the reviews are and they're like, and he's like, I'm not gonna buy that. It looks boring. And I'm like, but why did we had so much fun playing that stupid game that everyone hated?
Mm.
But when it comes like to just games in general, I feel like there's something that I miss about the video game store. I don't know how your video game store worked. You said that you were going to the Rogers video game store.
Yeah, it was weird. We rented games from the Rogers. They back when Rogers like competed with Blockbuster and they rented games and movies.
Yeah.
So it was more of a corporate feel. So if you had like a custom like local French Canadian game store, that sounds very comfy and interesting.
So yeah, basically, like in my little city, we had a local game store. It's sadly gone. It was so
Yeah.
fun to go there. And we had a after my little video games, not video game store. After the video store that I used to go closed down, there was a bigger corporation called Videotron in Quebec. For any Quebecer out there,
Mm.
they're gonna have some good time remembering about the Super Club Videotron. So basically, like renting games there was a bit addictive because they gave you points, and if you had that much points, you could even get some discount on some games that you could buy, or even get some free rents, some free rental. And you had like a little slot machine that cost you like $1, and you could have like uh, you could have prices. And the prizes that you could have was like a free popcorn bag, a free 2 liter of Mountain Dew, a free like movie rental, but there was some exclusive prizes like oh you could rent 3 games for 3 days, which was pretty much useless. How much games are you gonna play in one night
Mm.
for free, or get a free game from behind the counter? And when you got the free game behind the counter, it's you got a brand new game that was worth $45.95 brand new back then for free. It cost you $1. It's a gamble. So I remember when we didn't have enough money to rent stuff, me and my brother would use like I think it was $10 to rent a game for a week.
Mm.
So we would just use like $5 of credit and just shove it in the little slot machine just to be lucky enough to get like a free rent a game or whatever. But yeah, it was fun. It was fun back then, and same for
Everything was
what I
fun back
kind of
then.
missed. You said that you missed the video game store. I missed the kiosk where you could try games before renting them.
Oh my god, the little demos IRL, I miss those so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's palatable to my, I don't know, how do you even say this? It's palatable to my personality. I love trying things. I love like discovering something new. It's that aspect of discovery that I think motivates me. Is that hey, here's this like weird magical thing that about a bunch of Japanese people coded in their office. Like entertain yourself. And God, I just miss that feeling of just like interacting with a video screen or whatever and a controller and figuring out the controls, and this just being mystified by it, like something completely creative and new. And I think that's definitely something that has been lost. Like you said, this era of games with like No More Heroes. No More Heroes is like extremely experimental and creative, and I think people weren't criticizing it, but they were noticing, oh, it has a Zelda heart. Oh, it has, this aspect. Oh, it's trying to be like this, or it's ripping off this. But then it takes all of that stuff and turns it into something new and creative. And it's something that you just don't see anymore. It's like video games were they had their Wild West stage where it's like, come here and there are literally no rules. Do whatever you want. And, yeah, it's like right now it's like the opposite of that, where everything seems to be about rules. But yeah.
Yeah. Just whip out your PlayStation 1. Hey, come and play. You're gonna have a bunch of games like Spyro, Wild
Yeah.
Arms, Final Fantasy, freaking Need for Speed. You want any genres? We got them all. Bring
Yeah.
your stuff in.
Do you want to be a
Now try.
fire? Do you want to be a fire-breathing dragon? Do you want to be a banjo and a bird in a knapsack? Do you want to be an Italian plumber jumping on toadstools? Do you want to be an otaku, washed-up assassin that decides to kill people for the hell of it and for a date? Like it was just like anything goes.
And you know what? I felt like that for many years. I thought that we lost that until when the PS4 came out. I saw a bit more experimental titles, and not
Yeah.
the PS5 with limited runs and everything like that. You got so many wild games. Like there's now some just random games, like random mini games that ended up like a bit like the Newground era of games. That was honestly a good era of games where we got Castle Crasher and everything that just came out because Flash games were a thing. But yeah, you go to like I still go to video game store, which is still something I really love, even though I have a good PC and it's not really worth it for me to buy a PS5 or something like that. I'm just like, no, there's nothing that's gonna be that physical copy of whatever, or just being like looking at shiny boxes and be like, is that game good? And that game just ended up being ass. But yeah, going back to what I was saying about the PS4, there was a bunch of games like that was ported from Japan that was brought to America, like the Atelier series, which is like,
Yeah.
or the Neptune series, or
Yeah.
whatever. All the NIS games are not like so made for a Japanese public, and they still ported it to American public, which is kind of impressive. And I think that thing is coming back slowly but surely. And for the limited runs, you got River City Girl, which is another take on River City Ransom and things like that. And it's a game that I didn't know would work, and now we have River City Girl 2 and 0 that came out, and I don't know, it's just fun. They're experimenting, and they notice that people like the new stuff.
Yeah, no, the PS4 definitely had a revitalization of like software. I mean, my entire thing is I see it as a cycles of hardware and software focus, where PS2 did really well in terms of software, and then they try to push it PS3 just based on hardware, which is why it was so goddamn expensive when it came out. And it's a Blu-ray player that also plays games and all that stupid stuff.
Yeah.
But then PS4 was like, okay, let's go back to software focus, and you saw lots of great games. I would say the PS4 is definitely probably one of my favorite modern consoles.
I feel like, modern console-wise, I felt like, PlayStation just obliterated the console war versus the Xbox One and the Wii U back then.
Oh my god, yeah. No,
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine owning an Xbox One or a Wii U over a PS4. That's like insane. Yeah.
You want the wildest story ever when it came to that generation? I have like an amazing story.
Yeah.
So basically, what happened? I have an Xbox One, and I basically have like 2 or 3 games on it. The only reason why I wanted an Xbox One was to play Sunset Overdrive, which was the Xbox exclusive back then. And you want a fun fact about Sunset Overdrive?
Sure.
Insomniac, the studio who made it, do you know how much profit they made out of it?
Not much. I don't know.
Give a number.
They made 100,000. I don't know.
$534 in profit.
I was like 500,000. That sounds pretty. Oh, $500. Oh my god!
It wasn't a game that they made. They were commissioned to make it, so they just made it.
I've tried it. It's okay, but it's not anything special. Yeah, it's.
For me, it was just like, you can go in a map where you can grind, it's all colorful and everything. I was like, it's gonna be fun. But yeah, going back to the story about my Xbox One, how I got it. I was working for a guy who was running a online used retail, like, video game store. But we had walk-ins, so we had some people walking in, and we're like, I have my game collection that I want to sell. How much you're giving me? So I'm like, okay, fair. So I was doing that for a while, and one day there's a I'm not gonna say crackhead. Let's be respectful. A gentleman under a certain
Under the influence.
He just walks in, all shaky with his bag in his hand. And he whips out an Xbox One, and it was, I think, 2017, 18, and so the Xbox One was still an expensive console. And he's like, he looks at my boss, he's like, I got something to sell, you want it? And he's all shaky and everything. And the Xbox is all scratched off. It's been scuffed
Stolen,
off.
yeah.
It's not a clean Xbox.
Like, it looked
One.
like an abused Xbox. It was a sad Xbox.
Honestly, like a piece of resistance of someone who just fucking ripped it off Walmart or whatever.
Right.
So basically he walks in, he's like, you know what, so the guy's just shaky, he's not able to speak properly. I'm like, okay, fair. I'm gonna go get my boss, he's gonna deal with you. And my boss just straight up, flats out, refused him. He's like, no, fuck that. And the guy's like, I'm giving you that Xbox with like 3 games that I found. And one of the games was Sunset Overdrive. The other game was Doom. And the last game was Metro. So,
sorry, it was Sunset Overdrive. What were the other two?
The other game was Doom, and the other one was Metro.
Metro, okay.
So the thing is, the guy he's like, 250 and you can go with it. And the Xbox One, I think, brand new was like $400.
Yeah.
So my boss is like, get the fuck out, get lost. Then he looks at me like, kid, you don't want one? I get you special price. And I'm like, I have $50 in my pocket. You take it or you leave it. And he's like, okay, I'm taking your $50. So this is how I ended up with an Xbox One.
And it actually worked. That's the surprising part.
And I played I finished Doom and Sunset Overdrive, and now it's just a stand for a pile of games that I didn't have time to put in my library. Honestly, worst console ever. The interface was disgusting on that console. Though the controllers were amazing.
Yes.
But yeah.
So you got a special exclusive crackhead Xbox One.
It's honestly it's the best Xbox that slept in my garage for at least all winter before I pulled it out.
Man.
Just wanted to make sure there was no roaches inside or thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you don't have any funny gaming story or
I don't know. I think I don't know. My Switch, I have it because our last tenant sold it to me. He was a cool guy called Nick. He was a cybersecurity guy, and he's like, "Oh, I'll sell you my Switch." And he said, and I asked him, "So what's your favorite game?" He's like, Star Fox Adventures." And he was kind of like embarrassed by it, but like, no, I understand. It's the best worst Star Fox game. It's good, but it's also very not good.
Oh, dude. Yeah. Ass games that made my childhood. Star Fox Adventure was one of them.
Yeah.
It strikes a chord. I remember getting that game for my birthday.
How do I say it? It's like, I love that game. Like, it's a great game, but I would never recommend it to anyone. You know, I don't know how to describe it. It's just like...
No.
Yeah,
I get you.
Yeah.
I have the same thing about, there's a game called One-Chanbara.
Oh my god. I was about to bring that up. I was going to say, talking about PS4 games. One of the biggest PS4 games that I didn't expect was Oni-Chanbara Origin on the PS4.
Yeah. I remember that game was when I was working for my old boss who used to deal with the used video games. He was like, that game looks so shit. I give it to you, and it was a collector edition.
This looks like trash. You can have it.
I was like, yeah, I don't mind.
Yeah.
So basically, he was a weird guy. Every game that he didn't like, he was bashing on them, just throwing them away like it was ass. And I was like, those are some expensive games. Yeah, but Xenogear or whatever, whatever fuck.
Yeah.
Again, just fuck that. Xenosaga, I don't wanna touch that thing.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're weird, my dude. I hope your business lasts a long time. I don't know if it still lasted, but yeah. Honestly, I had some funny stories with him. And yeah, talking about another weird story. My Switch as well was another weird one. So basically what happened is I got a free Switch as a birthday present from a friend, which is kind of weird. And the Switch, basically, what happened is I had a friend that I met back then who was mad in love with a girl,
Hmm.
and the girl ended up like having a big crush on me. So she kind of just flat out rejected him, and me, I didn't know what happened. So he just like came to me, lash on me, talking shit
Oh.
about me, and then he just fucks off.
Hmm.
But in the end, the girl just comes to me and he's like, "Oh, your friend is weird, blah blah blah. How about we go out for a drink and dinner?" I'm like, "Ah, no, I'm not too interested." So a few years down the line, that friend called me back and he's like, "Hey, I think I fucked up," and he's like, "I want to make it up to you."
Oh.
So yeah, he kind of came to see me. We had so much fun. We drank, had a couple beers, and he's like, "Hey, I think I have a gift for you," but he was drunk.
Okay.
He was drunk, and he just ended up giving me a free Switch. And I was like, I'm not gonna refuse that gift.
Wow. A drunk remorseful Switch. That's kind of cool.
So I have a crackhead Xbox and a drunk remorseful Switch.
um. Yeah, no, my stories are not nearly as entertaining as how I bought my consoles. They were just all usually just birthday presents, or Christmas presents rather. I know there's the one where we got our N64, and we were like, me and my brother, we were definitely like that meme video where the kids are yelling N64. That was absolutely us. Um, how did we? Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I forgot how I got my PS4. That was a fun story. What was it? It was I was dating this girl for about 2 years, and like my parents hated her, my brothers hated her, my friends hated her, like everyone hated her, and like you need to break up with this person. And so eventually she like ended up uh basically cheating on me basically. And so I was like, oh my god, what do I do? And my mom and friend was like, look, if you break up with this girl, we'll get you a PS4, okay? And I was like, all right, I'll do it. It was like that was like the last step for me to like move on from that relationship was to get a PS4. So that's my funny story, I guess. And then we had a party afterwards.
A breakup party. What the fuck,
Yeah.
man?
We for the breakup party we took Barbies and we threw them into a trash can as like a accuracy thing. And whoever got the most Barbies in got like a little Mickey of a whiskey or something.
That's wild. And I thought my fucking drunk remorseful Switch was good. You gotta hate PS4.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
goodbye bitch
A
PS4.
breakup PS4. This is your new girlfriend now. Now leave her be.
I hope you spent a lot of time on that.
I
That
did.
you
I
puppy
got
of
way
yours.
more enjoyment out of Bloodborne and twice as much anger, so yeah.
Oh god, that's a wild one.
Yeah.
Twice the enjoyment, twice the anger, get Bloodborne instead of a girlfriend.
Yeah. Pretty
Pre-order
much.
exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nah. When it comes to all those stories, like there are so many wild stories, and I feel that's the thing that makes us a bit as unique gamers. Not us, but in general, like gamers in general, they all have like unique stories about any games. Like I had a bunch of friends who met their spouse or their wives or even their boyfriend on games. Uh, Dude, I met two of my good friends while playing League of Legends because they were
Hmm.
just talking trash about me in French, and it was like, oh shit, them Quebecers, how you doing, guys?
Wow.
And I remember that, yeah, my friend just was like, "Oh my god, I was not expecting you to know French, but we were saying so much shit about you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know, I was reading."
So you just stayed quiet the whole time and then let them know. By the way, I can read that.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
great.
Have you met any friends online? Like us, I think we met
Uh,
through a anime convention.
kind of. I mean, one of my friend's friend, back when Phasmophobia came out, We all play together online, and we played that game, and we kind of bonded because of that. And so we became friends through that game, and we would like message each other once in a while. I came down to visit in where did it by Myrtle Beach. It was so nice. Oh my god. So yeah, there's one game relationship, I guess you could say, that I have. I'd never had like a Call of Duty lobby or Halo lobby friends, you could say. But I do have, like, everyone has those stories, like that one guy who, he was online, and we decided to team up and go play or whatever. It's rare now, unfortunately, because honestly, because of the restriction on mic chat. Like, I think back to the days of Halo 2, where you had just like open mic chat, or in Call of Duty. I mean, Call of Duty, you were not making any friends; you were mainly making enemies. But in Halo, you made friends. Or it felt more friendly, at least. And that's kind of gone away ever since, like, I guess the harassment thing. Since it's like, I suppose, like, oh, we have to take care of people's feelings now. So now, if you ever want to mic chat openly, it's like, I think the only game that still does it is like Halo Infinite and Halo Master Chief Collection. But every other game is like Battlefield. You can only voice chat if you're in like a party, i.e., with your friends, people you already know. So you're not meeting strangers. And also Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike is like the holy grail of like guys roasting each other. Like, just, you'll hop on any year for the past decade, and you'll just hear guys just like riffing, and it's the most it was enjoyable
movement, let's be honest.
Yeah, I love it.
Dude, it was an art. Insulting people in Modern Warfare 2 lobby was an art,
man. It was.
I wasn't as skilled like that as I am right now in English. I was just getting roasted and over and over. I was like, I cannot reply.
Yeah.
And you were talking about that one guy that you meet and just end up playing like ages and ages of, like, your online friend.
Yeah.
Dude, so many of those went out. And you said like Call of Duty, but honestly, Call of Duty Zombie Black Ops, I made so many like friends who were like, hey guys, we're jumping on Borderlands 2, you guys want to join in? I'm like, hell yeah. And we just end up playing like for months and months on end until you get that final message out, oh, I'm logging off, see you tomorrow, and you just never see them ever again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that definitely happened. Something happened. They moved away, or someone stole their Xbox and just, last online 500 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
5 years plus ago.
Yeah.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I used to, I kind of, let's be honest, those days are gone, but I would love for them to come back a bit. But there's a silver lining to all that. I feel like the gaming movement is getting more mainstream. There's a lot of people who doesn't like it. I don't mind it being more mainstream. It's a bit like animes. People just want, that's no longer their special hobby, and now normies watch animes. I'm happy about that, because there's a bunch of projects that back then wouldn't have seen light if it wasn't for the amount of people caring now.
Yeah.
And it's the same for video games. Now developers see that Baldur's Gate has had a lot of momentum, and they're risking themselves. AAA developers, like even Bethesda, risked themselves with what was the game? Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
It came out of nowhere, but honestly, it was good.
No, it was. That was a cool game. It was something different, and that's what I'm talking about. Like the creative soul. I mean, it's funny. Like, something that really held back games on the Wii, specifically in this generation, was motion controls. Ironically, like every game that used it typically was bad, and I think one of the better games on that was like Twilight Princess or Smash or No More Heroes. They did use motion controls, but very, very limited. It's like, oh, did you want to make a shooter? You have to use motion controls. But yeah, like that age of innovation. Sorry. Sorry, excuse me. But that age of innovation, it's almost gone. It's like, I don't know, that feeling of you're playing something completely unexpected. Like, I have no idea what this is or what it's gonna look like or whatever. Yeah, I forgot where I was going with this, but
That's all right.
uh,
But yeah, you're
I would
talking about
say
the
that
age of.
yeah, there are. Oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. Like there are still games like that. It's just that they're very very rare, and they're all coming from the indie scene. I feel like this age where everything's super corporatized and everything's gotchified. The indie titles are the things that really give us the feeling of what it was like in the '90s when you had like a totally original experience or idea. Like imagine like for Zoomers, imagine like going into McDonald's and seeing like a free demo of Undertale like at the counter or something. Like that
Yeah.
level of what is this? This is really cool. I need this. So, like I need more of this.
Like it just
That's what
opened
it was
another
like.
can of worm. Remember those GameCube or N64 boots at McDonald's?
Oh my god, yeah. I think
Oh my gosh.
that's the first time I played Sonic Adventure 2 and then I fell in love with probably my favorite Sonic game. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think it was what was the game? It was Mario Sluggers on not Sluggers, Power
Strikers?
Tennis. No,
Oh,
no, it was
Power Tennis.
Power
Yeah,
Tennis.
yeah.
I remember just going there with friends, just buying the cheapest shit ever, and just playing the Mario Tennis.
Just to play Mario Tennis, yeah.
And we had so much fun doing that. But
Hmm.
yeah, Sonic. You're a big fan of Sonic?
I am, yeah. Well, I guess I used to be.
Oh my god. Yeah. Like what? Guessing Dreamcast era of Sonic or
I like pretty much all of the 2D stuff, but I really really liked the Adventure series. Not really much Adventure DX or the first Adventure 1, but more so Adventure 2 is probably like Adventure 2 is probably one of my all-time favorite games, honestly. Um
You know,
it's
we were talking about.
yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I know there's just something about it in terms of like the pacing, the characters, everything. It's almost like a perfect game to me, but to other people, obviously, it's not.
No, not gonna lie. There's
Mm.
some pretty good things. I remember. Okay, an ass game, Shadow the Hedgehog. I freaking love that game. I don't know why. It's so bad. Everyone hates it. I love it. But yeah, you're right. Sonic Frontier. I think it pulled the franchise out of the water.
It pulled it out of the deep end, and it's still struggling in the shallow end. Is my feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, for
Uh,
Frontiers, I really liked like the first arc, or whatever. Like, okay, go around, get all the Chaos Emeralds, go Supersonic, and then fight the big guy. And that was really cool. But it's like, oh, now do that over and over and over again. I'm like, this is mixed, you know.
But the thing is, when you see Sega versus Nintendo, Sega do have something in their advantage. God darn, when it comes to music, Sega just knocks it out of the park. The
Oh
games
yeah.
are bad, but the music are so good.
I know that's the thing. Like if I mean that to that point, I hope they never stop making Sonic games because the music itself, like Jun Sunyo and Crush 40 or whoever the hell
Or
they get to work on.
Zebrahead. Yeah.
Yeah, whoever the hell Zebrahead, hell yeah. Whoever the hell they get to work on Sonic games, they just make the best music of their career for some goddamn reason. They're like, Sonic, you gotta go fast, gotta make the best music, gotta go.
Dude,
Yeah.
I'm at the lowest point of my career. What should I do? Go work for Sega and do some good music. At least there's something that your people can remember. And you know what? There's I don't know. Every time I listen to Spotify and I hear a banger of a song, I just look at it and it's come from Sega libraries or Sega OSTs. I'm like, nice. And I'm
Every
like,
time.
oh, Sonic 06. Okay, yeah, that's shit ass game. Okay, yeah,
Oh,
the intro music banger,
Oh,
absolute banger.
it's great. Yeah.
And then you play the game, absolute shitter. Honestly, like it's having a porta potty fucking flipped over. You.
Sonic 06 is like an abortion on wheels. It's just like, what is going on? Like, Sonic 06 is amazing because, like, I didn't know games could be this bad while also being functional. That's the thing that I think makes something the worst game ever, is that it's still technically a game and you spend a lot of money making it and it's still awful. Oh, I saw an N64 in that shot. Travis's place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The game has a lot of little Easter eggs for
Mm.
games, and it's pretty
Yeah.
fun. But yeah, it's something that I don't know, just strikes me a chord about like music in general. We take Bayonetta. All the music in
Oh
Bayonetta
yeah.
was good. The first one was amazing. Then it ended up at Nintendo's and it died there. So hey,
Yeah, more or less.
pretty much. Oh, I think we went over all the subjects that we had, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we've kind of gotten way off course.
Ah,
I guess what to bring it back in. Well,
yeah, go ahead.
I mean, No More Heroes is probably one of my favorite games of all time. I kind of look at game generations in terms of series, not singular games, but series and new IPs that respond there. So you could say 3D Zelda was a new kind of series, starting with Ocarina. Halo defined the Xbox, and it was kind of in the post, like Gen 7. It was like there were a lot of games on the Xbox and a lot of games on the PlayStation, but what defined that generation for me was probably the No More Heroes, Mass Effect, and Assassin's Creed. And I guess like so it stays in my mind as like a very highly regarded IP and something that I would still welcome to something like Smash Brothers or something. It would be a big tone shift, but but to that point, I love No More Heroes 1. But what are your opinions on the sequels?
Oh, easy. Second one was amazing. Travis Strikes Again. Oh my god, my eyes still hurt. It's not because it's bad, it's just really hard to look at it for a long
Yeah.
period of time. And fun couch play game. But I remember playing with my friend that game, and we were like, okay, we're taking a break. My head just gonna explode.
Mhm.
And the third one is just like the epiphany of what the fuckness. How about yourself? How could you
Pretty much. I like. I mean, 1 and 2 are very similar. Like 2 is like a very worthy successor. I also love 2, but I think 1. I mean 2 had better gameplay, but 1 has like it just has a certain style about it. Like it has like a very specific atmosphere, and I wondered, am I just imagining this or is it nostalgia? And I remember it was like a few months ago. I actually booted it up on the Wii, and I just love just like walking around Santa Destroy. It feels so otherworldly. I don't know how to describe it.
I get you. I get you. I
Yeah.
get absorbed in the gameplay. Like
Hmm.
when it came out on the Switch as a limited run, uh, I sat there and played till I think I started playing at like I just finished work and I had it. I picked it up on my game store. I think it was like 11, and then I start playing. I got absorbed in the game, and then I look at the time. It's nearly 4 a.m. I'm like, what the fuck? I've been playing for that long.
Yeah.
And
So
it wasn't
good.
4 a.m., but it was just really late. Like,
Mm.
outside it was sun, now there's no more sun, and everyone is
Yeah.
asleep. So I'm like, fuck, okay, yeah, sure.
So 2 was definitely good, and 2 ended on this kind of cliffhanger thing where it's like, oh, what's going to happen to Travis? He leaves Santa Destroy. What's going to happen to him and the city and everything? And then like it was really funny slash weird how the series kind of got super quiet. It kind of died there for a while, and Suda started working on things like Let It Die and other titles. So he kind of left it. And but the funny and the weird thing is that No More Heroes 2 came out 2010, and that's roughly also when Iron Man came out, and you had the whole era of Marvel and the whole thing of not explicitly stated, but the whole thing about Travis is that he's kind of a parody on the American hero and specifically the American superhero. And especially when you look at someone like Destroy Man, like that is a very direct parody of the American superhero where he's the total scumbag. And so you had this whole era of Marvel, and Suda was like, "Oh, I'm doing, a social commentary about, like what if an otaku was actually an assassin?" And he was totally silent during that decade. And then suddenly No More Heroes 3 comes out, and now Travis Strikes Back. So I felt like we kind of missed out in a way. Like it would have been so fun to have like an anti-Marvel video game where you're Travis killing a bunch of like superheroes and Marvel superheroes. And they're all like assholes. The idea itself, as I'm saying it, is such a cool, good idea. And we just never got that game. And what we got instead was So Travis Strikes Again or Travis Strikes Back. I honestly can never remember which one it is. It was weird. It was a top-down game with very odd gameplay, and it was co-op, and so I forced my brother to play with me. But it was very okay. It was very like, this is fine, but I don't ever really want to play this again. And the music was not very good, but the story was at least kind of interesting. And
Yeah,
and then
you're right about Travis Strikes Again. Like
Yeah.
the music one is interesting and the visual as well, and the fact that you did Suda just went back to some throwbacks on the PS2 or Dreamcast there. When you look at the cinematics, it's just striking,
Mhm.
like happy memories. But anyway, sorry. Go
But
on.
yeah, and then finally we come to No More Heroes 3, and No More Heroes 3 is like my personal like nightmare. Like that is like in my top 10 worst games of all time. It is honestly awful. I was so disappointed. And well, not only was I disappointed, but I realized what made the past games so good. And like what you're watching right now, like driving around Santa Destroy, No More Heroes 1, it's a broken mess. It's a broken piece of crap game. The gameplay works, but everything else is kind of broken. But what Suda can compensate for that by making things like incredibly well-written characters and incredibly like good music and an incredible style. And No More Heroes 3 had the opposite of that. It had awfully written characters. It had like an awful style. It had terrible music or forgettable music, but the gameplay was arguably the best in the series. So it was not like No More Heroes at all. It was very, very strange. It's like aliens invade, and it's like, oh, okay, I guess. Um, I don't know. It felt like a game he didn't want to make. I have no other way to describe it. And then you had all that whole thing where he talks about Mishima or that one like Japanese film director, and like Travis is fanboying over it, and just I don't know, everything in No More Heroes 3 just felt really bad. Really, really bad.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can retract my statement. You're right. It's probably just rose-tinted glasses when I just played it.
Well,
Again, No More
if you
Heroes.
enjoyed it, I'm glad that someone can
It's
enjoy
not
it.
that I enjoyed it. When I look back at it, it's
Like it had its
just raised
moments.
away from the original. But I was just like so hyped for No More Heroes 3 that I
Yeah.
played it once. That's the thing. It's not like No More
Yeah.
Heroes 2 or 1 that I played like at least 10 times.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a lot. But
Yeah.
yeah, the more I think about it, the more you're right. You're not influencing me too much on that one.
I
Like,
hope-
yeah, the characters are like unforgettable. I cannot even. I think there's just like one boss that just sticks in my head, but I forgot her name. It was like the
Yeah.
most like was the not the little, just the basic looking girl one.
Oh
And
yeah,
for
the horror
rest,
theme level.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that
And
was cool.
the thing was, the combat mechanics were amazing. I just
Yeah.
love when you can just up some combos and feel like a
Yeah.
badass. But the visuals, when you take No More Heroes 1 with the like cell shaded
Mhm.
Tarantino movie, and you go from there and you just go there. I don't know why, but the oversaturated colors,
Yeah.
do kind of.
They
loses-
wash. I mean, they kind of wash it out and they make it feel less special. I mean, this is an issue that all triple AA games deal with now. Is that when everything is 4K HD, the actual game mechanic of environmental, I don't want to say storytelling, but like environmental directing, like this is an enemy, this is a safe spot, this is like whatever. Back then we had very limited color palettes, or very like focused color palettes. And so their workaround is something like Halo Infinite or Death Stranding, where you have a scan thing where it literally turns the environment into a video game where you can actually see, oh, there are the weapons amongst the 4K grass textures or something. And No More Heroes 3 had a bit of that, where I know its shadows were not as chunky. It looked like every other game. It didn't really have a great style. I mean, the worst thing for me was probably like the characters and the bosses, because like what was it? It was Damon and Fu who like all had like they all had the same interaction with every character. It's like, oh, I hate you. You didn't kill Travis. I'm mad. And like that was it. That was the dialogue. It was just that.
And
Yeah.
like the over the top thing, I think it started in like No More Heroes 2. It evolved during like it evolved with Killer is Dead, where it was really over the top, and I feel like he tried to mix both of them. But at the same time, with Travis Strikes Again and everything, and the introduction of more, how could I say that, voodoo slash mythical elements, it kind of just steered the ship towards another direction I was not expecting.
Yeah.
If they did a No More Heroes 3 that was more in line with the two first one, I don't know if it would have been good as well. He just
I
tried
mean,
something, and that's the thing about Suda51. He's just wild. He tries things up.
yeah. I mean, it's funny because when I think back on it, I enjoyed Travis Strikes Again more than No More Heroes 3. And that was supposed to be like a spin-off game or like a lead up to 3. So for me, that's like a sign of like really not a good game when your spin-off is better than your mainline thing. But the other thing too that I also very distinctly recall is that people were very hyped for No More Heroes 3, but in the wrong way. Because he released that little animated short that looked like a Digimon animation of like Fu and Damon when they're kids, and they showed up at the Game Awards and be like, "Oh, what's this cool movie?" And then it says, "Goddamn superhero" at the end, and like that animation is great. Like I love that little teaser or whatever. And then like Travis, smashes the screen. It's like No More Heroes 3. It's like what out of nowhere. No, that was great, and people were excited for that. But then they realized, oh, it's not actually about the guy. It's actually a No More Heroes game.
Yeah, honestly, it was
Yeah.
I got the same feeling when I first watched Travis Strikes Again trailer. I was like, oh shit, No More Heroes 3 is coming, baby! I
Yeah,
was like really hype. I
yeah.
remember I was in college and I saw the trailer pop while I was on the computer working on stuff, and I was like, I
Mm.
just stopped and I was like, I had like the shakes. I was like, oh man, I'm like just all the nostalgia came back rushing in and be like, oh my god, there's gonna be another No More Heroes, and then you get Travis Strikes Again, which is honestly I cannot say that I hated it. I enjoyed it.
It
Same
was
as No More Heroes 3.
fine.
It's alright. It's okay. It's not something that I'm gonna play again. Yep. It's those games
Yeah,
that you tried once and you're like, okay, I tasted the little Chinese buffet of experience. Now I'm done.
yeah, yeah. It's like, would I recommend the starting one? Absolutely not. But the
Nope.
first two games, 100%, I would absolutely recommend those. So it's weird how like the first two games I like can praise to no end, and the last two games I really don't want anything to do with them. It's really strange how he fell off or whatever you want to call it.
I feel like he's Suda. He's doing his own thing.
Mhm.
He's a bit like the Hideo
Yeah,
Kojima of games.
he is. He honestly he is, and in the sense that
Hideo Kojima games, yeah.
I find that like my favorite games or some of the highest praise games are games where there's a bunch of little mini games or there's a little like it has a little bit of everything. Like for example, like No More Heroes, it has like a friggin' you can drive around a motorcycle thing. You could fight guys with a beam katana. You can do mini games where you take like mow people's lawns or carry coconuts or like collect scorpions and stuff. And Kojima's very much like that too. He's like, oh, what if we what if we had what if Snake's footprints in the snow like alerted enemy soldiers, or what if he used ketchup to fake his blood, or what if old Snake had an iPod Nano? And yeah, it's like it's
What if
that
you had a cardboard cutout at a sexy woman and it's a way to distract me?
right. It's that variety as opposed to something like Monster Hunter, where I mean, I haven't played a lot of Monster Hunter, but I'm pretty much just like you have different classes, but you're pretty much just like beating the thing to death over and over and over again. Like it doesn't have these weird little silly vignettes, basically. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Ex- exactly. Well, anyway, it was a fun throwback discussion on No More Heroes. Thank
yeah,
you for having me.
yeah. No, absolutely. It was fun to talk about it. I mean, I guess I hope the series I still, I guess, have hope. I mean, it's been shaken. I don't know if Suda makes another one, if it'll ever live up. I'm still looking forward to other Suda games because Killer is Dead was good. Let It Die was, I mean, not great, but it was something, I guess. Um, and honestly, anything the creator of Killer 7 makes, I'll give him a chance. You know, I'll give him a chance. So that's all I can say about the future of the series.
Yep, same. Honestly, nothing to say else to
Yeah.
that. I will always respect the craft, but at this point, let's see where he steers the ship.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Nuke, thanks for coming on and gushing about No More Heroes with me. I really appreciate it. It's fun.
No problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
Well, have a lovely day, and it was a really fun experience. I was happy to hear another video game enthusiast talk about his point of view of No More Heroes as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll see you guys later. Bye.